So the Splinter Cell's FN2000 in the original games is not at all like this one. The Splinter Cell's F2000 was obviously black. It had the Hunter Scope on it, which is available from G&G for a little more money. And I was thinking, well, the Hunter Scope's not that great because the rails are actually lower once you take off the scope, so you can't put anything else on there besides the scope unless you get a rail riser, and otherwise it would just look really ugly without the scope on it. G&G said they were going to make the FN2000 specific grenade launcher for this, but they never did. You can put a rail system on there underneath the barrel, and you take off the foregrip part, the black part, and put rails. I was thinking about getting that SCAR grenade launcher since it looks just like it, and just using it without the mag part for the SCAR, but it turns out that's uncompatible. You can't pull the trigger on the grenade launcher without it. And obviously I already got my suppressor. The flash hider that was already attached on this gun, I'm not sure if it was glued or not, but it was a pain in the ass to get off. And I can now put my silencer on. Now, something to note with the threads and the barrel on this gun is that once you put the suppressor all the way on to the back of the threading, it's actually really hard to get off. So I put a washer on the bottom of the thread so that the silencer itself doesn't actually go all the way onto the gun. I have my Gemtech black slide silencer, which came with my M4. I'm going to put it on the FN. So I'm going to test a variety of mags in this weapon. This is a high cap. It's made out of steel, and it came with a jelly Beretta. This is a mid cap. It's made out of plastic, and I prefer to use this in the gun. And this is an E-mag. Yeah, this is an E-mag, and this does not fit the gun at all, so do not buy an E-mag. Now, there's something called an FN2000 mod, because you got to do this if you have an FN2000. The jelly Beretta also requires this mod. You have to shave off this part, and I'll show you why in comparison to a high cap. You have to shave it off so it looks just like a high cap. So measure this part, and then measure it here, put a line, and then shave it all the way off. There's a spring there, so you've got to get the measurements just right. This is called the FN2000 mod, and you have to do this to all of your mid caps in order to fit inside this gun. It's because the gearbox actually has a metal piece right here which gets in the way. And G&G mags are already shaped like this, so G&G mags stock automatically fit in this gun. It's mid caps you got to worry about. So this is the metal mag. Fits. It's a winding mag. I don't prefer to use these anymore since I bought a pack on eBay of these plastic mid caps, which I like a lot more. Really like these plastic mid caps, and they actually make a lot cooler noise. And here's the button. I'll go over this in the review itself, but that's all you need to know about these mid caps for now. So now we are going to go into complete review of the entire weapon from front to back, and maybe a little bit on internals towards the end of the video. Alright, so we're at the barrel of the gun. It's kind of an awkward shape, so I'm going to try my best to keep it in front of the camera. Now it has 14mm threads on it. I'm not sure this is negative or positive, but black slide silencers fit on this gun, so that's good. The outer barrel is metal, and the inner barrel goes all the way to the tip of the barrel itself, the stock one. Right here is a fake gas adjuster. You need like a tool to push in this little pin, and this gas adjuster actually moves into a different selection. See, there's another notch that thing goes into. I'm not sure if you can take this out and use it as a tool, kind of like on the SCARs, but I can't seem to find a way to get it out, but that's cool that they actually put that on there. Then the gas block, which is a different metal. Actually, I should probably go get my magnet. So that part is made out of aluminum. This part here is metal, it's aluminum though. So the black that's like this color, you can tell, is the ABS of the gun, or nylon fiber, since G&G likes to use that stuff. Alright, so it looks like there's people on the other side of the golf course fixing something on their roof. Can't really be holding a gun right now, so another interruption again. Alright, so I was interrupted several times, and there was golfers, there was airplanes, there was helicopters, there was two guys on a roof watching me fixing something, but they were still looking at my gun, which is not a good thing. And then my sister got home, so she's an annoying ass bitch. So I had to relocate, otherwise she'd keep coming out and making fucking baby noises. So I had to completely relocate. In the front is 2 sling points, one here and one on the other side. I've noticed that it kind of slightly moves, but I wouldn't worry about it. But there's a FN 2000 specific sling made for FNs, which wraps around here and the top. I suggest buying one of those instead. Now those sling points are made out of metal, and here's the front sight, which is an attachment to a rail. It's FN, it's just like the real one. Here's the screw to remove it, it's an Allen key, and the sight is pretty small and it moves around. It actually moves around quite freely, it's pretty loose, so it might move around on accident. The front sight is made out of aluminum, and I'm guessing so is the notch. I can't reach in there, but I'm guessing the notch is also aluminum. So the front sight and the notch are both made of aluminum. I'll try to show you a sight picture here. Alright, so there's the sight picture. Though we're not on the back of the gun yet, but just talk about the rear sight. It is also made of the same exact aluminum as the front sight is. They're both painted black. Pretty good paint from G&G. Really good paint, kind of resistant, a little bit of scratching, but I didn't do any of these scratches. Now back to the front of the gun. This is all ABS or nylon fiber. I'm assuming this is nylon fiber since G&G likes to use that kind of stuff. So on the right side of the gun is actually the ejection port. This is a forward ejection rifle, and the way it works is on the real gun, obviously your firing is taking place in the back. This is where the mechanism is that actually takes the empty brass and it puts them in the top right here. See, there's actually some space, and the barrel is way off to the left, or it appears to be way off to the left, but there's a lot of space right here, or on the, I think it's actually right here is where the empty brass goes. Yeah, that's where the empty brass goes, and it fits up to 5 before they start to fall out of the ejection port. So this is plastic, and G&G made it pretty realistic and put the hole in there and everything. And it is spring loaded right here, so you got to push up and in and up and out. So some people can't figure out how to do this, kind of like the Zodiac. You got to push up and in like that. And that is the ejection port on this weapon. It's pretty unique, and this is actually an advantage to Splinter Cells because well, in the video games, because 5 rounds without brass hitting the floor making noise, you can kill up to 5 people before you have brass flying out. Now the rail in this weapon is it's actually made out of metal. You would think this is actually plastic because you can barely tell if it's metal or not. It's aluminum. The magnet does not stick. The only really way to tell that it's actually aluminum is it has a little bit of scratching on it from putting on my scope. On this side of the weapon is the exhaust ports for cooling down the barrel. Here's the charging handle. This actually broke off on a couple of other people's FN, so I suggest if you really want to cock it, you can cock it back, but then like release it on your own. Don't just let it come slamming forward. It's actually a pretty neat design. This part here moves freely, and it is sort of locked. You pull it out like this and then pull it back. You can put it in a lock position like an MP5 and slow it down if you want, but that's definitely probably going to break the charging handle off. E-Bike sells separate charging handles, but it's actually the metal piece holding it onto the gun that breaks. This is made out of the same plastic as the gun itself. So you can see inside your spring. It's actually kind of a weak spring. I have some footage of this being released, but in person the spring is actually not that powerful. Zodiac lubricated his and it would move a lot more freely, but at one point he angled this gun upward and let go of the charging handle and actually didn't reach the top, so it's a pretty weak spring for the charging handle. Here's the foregrip of the gun. It's got really good grooves in it that you can hold here, and then on the other side your fingers go in there, and there's actually 2 points in the front right here where your where this finger goes. It rests right in that notch. So the foregrip is actually molded pretty well, actually extremely well, to fit your hand. So the foregrip is actually removable, and you can buy a rail to fit on the bottom of the barrel. I would suggest putting a grenade launcher on there. It looks pretty ugly without this on there, but a grenade launcher would complement this weapon nicely. So you can see the thickness of the gun. It's pretty bulky, and the stock is a really fat stock. You're not going to be very comfortable if you're used to M4s when you use this stock. So here's the trigger area. The selector is very stiff. You have to use 2 fingers at least to move this. It's got serrations for your fingers on both sides. See, once you get all the pressure into it, just to move it, you might accidentally go all the way because it takes a lot of force to move this little switch. So this is conveniently located underneath the trigger. The selector kind of moves up and down a bit, and I expect more from close to a $400 gun. That's just nitpicking almost, but still. The trigger is the same plastic, and it's a very thick trigger. It's very thick. I don't mind though. So here's safe. Nothing's happening. Here's semi. This is semi, like that's semi, and that's still semi. Going to full auto. That's semi. Wait a minute. This is semi, and that's full auto. So there's actually two trigger contacts. This is hitting one trigger contact, which is a traditional looking one because I've seen it. I don't have any pictures, and this is hitting a entirely different contact. So now it's hitting both contacts. So that is how it works. It's an AUG style trigger. The action of the semi and then full click is full auto. So that is how the weapon works. It's got a pretty big thing for your fingers, so gloved fingers works great with this gun. It's got a pretty thick pistol grip. This thing actually gets kind of uncomfortable after a while, I've noticed. This gun is said to be very comfortable, and it is, but some parts about it to me are just not that comfortable. Alright, so the body of this weapon is held in place by these screws, which can be found all over the gun. They are just like the real screws, so they're not ugly Phillips headed they're not ugly Phillips heads or anything. They're actually Allen key screws. So just like the real thing. Here is where the sight is located. That is where your serial number is going to be. Now that we're towards this part of the gun, I'm going to show the rear iron sight. Flips down. It's pretty stiff, and it flips back up. It's pretty stiff. These grooves are probably so you can do this, but that doesn't really work. You gotta get your nail under there and then push it up. It's a pretty small peep, but to be honest, once your eye focuses in on the front sight, this peep becomes pretty big. Right here is actually the disassembly button to take the top receiver and the barrel off of the lower receiver. It is pushed out on this side. It's made out of aluminum or die-cast, probably die-cast based on the way it looks. The disassembly button is serrated. Moving on towards the back of the weapon. Here's one of the FN trades licensed by FN Hairstyle. On the other side is the same exact thing. I might paint this gun black, which means I'll lose those trades, sadly. Here's the magazine release button, the same kind of plastic as the rest of the gun. Push in and pull out. You don't want to just push it once and then let it go. Some people might accidentally do that. You gotta push it in, pull it out, and then let it go. And out comes your mag. It's a pretty tight mag well. As you can see, my mag isn't moving at all. It's very tight, and it's pretty good. So here's how you access your hop up on this weapon. It's got good lines so that you can get a grip on this. Spring loaded, really strong spring actually, so works well. And there's your dial, so just reach in and move that thingy around. It's a G&G hop up, which is always pretty good, and it works pretty well. Oh, and in disassembly, once you have the front of the gun off, you want to push back on this part of the gearbox to slide it out. So here are the trades on the back of the gun. This is pretty unrealistic. It says model G2010 Airsoft Cal 6mm BB and G&G Armament made in Taiwan. This is on the real gun, just with the realistic trades as well. Here's a sling point, which I don't trust, and as you can see, it actually shows into the gearbox. So I think someone sells, I'm not sure who, someone sells a metal insert to keep rain and water from going into the gearbox. On this side of the weapon, there's that same metal from right here. This doesn't really do anything at all. I've been inside the gearbox and I don't really see what this is for. It's probably on the real gun, so they're just being smart and putting it on the airsoft model too. So here's the buttstock of the weapon. It is rubberized and it is serrated so to stay on your shoulder. It's a really good buttstock. It doesn't come off easily at all. It's actually kind of hard to get off. You lift up and you kind of bend it out like that, and you can either just wrench it off or slide it up. To put it back on, I do this and slide it down. For the sake of the review, I'm going to do it on, well, no, I can't do this on camera. It's way too hard. Rubber buttstock thing. There should be a metal piece in here, but mine didn't come with it. I'll put some footage of it falling out of the Zodiac's FN as a fail, but that's just so you can get a look at what that thing was. Mine doesn't have it for some reason, but I truly don't think you need it. Alright, so here's a look at the back of the gun. I mean the insides. Here's the battery compartment. It's pretty small. It's a small type. Here's the Dean's plugs I was talking about. And here's your adjustable spring for FPS. You need a flathead or a really long, really big Allen key to stick all the way in. And you twist out for lower FPS and you twist in for higher FPS. Also, when you're trying to take out the spring, you just twist this all the way out and you don't need to take apart the gearbox. This plastic thing right here is actually a pain in the ass to get out. These two screws, which actually were stripped when I got it. You take this part out and then you can see all your internals. Then, like I mentioned before, you push out here and out comes the gearbox. And it's recommended that you loosen up this screw during disassembly. Something I've noticed about this weapon is that the upper receiver kind of moves just a tad bit. It's nothing to be annoyed about, and you probably wouldn't notice unless you're doing what I'm doing. But that's just something I noticed. This is for people who honestly need to know these kind of things when they watch a review. These trades are actually engraved into the gun. It's plastic. They're actually molded like this down into the gun. This is a painted trade. These are molded into the plastic, but they are painted. So painting this gun, you would lose the white color, but you would still keep your trademark anyway. Now, here's how the upper receiver comes off from the gun. You push this button, and this piece will come sticking out. Then you just grab the upper receiver, and it comes right off. Alright, so this is the top of the gun, separated, and you can see your hop-up. Now, the hop-up is really stiff and kind of hard to get out. You had to, the first time I did this, I had to force it pretty hard. It's an O-ring coming off, or washer. And there's my stainless steel inner barrel. Isn't that nice? So it's a pretty stiff hole. And as you can see, there's actually guide points for the hop-up to go into. So it's a pretty stiff hop-up. It's not moving around or anything. And the stainless steel barrel definitely makes a performance difference. Alright, so here's the inside of the gun. I've taken a look at the real FN, and it does have these on there, so it's very realistic. Here's the trigger. And you see this part, this gray looking part, that is actually the part that reaches into the back of the gearbox. I think it's plastic. It appeared to look plastic and feel kind of plastic when I had it open. I hope it's not, but yeah, that's how the trigger works. And just for those of you who are interested, this is what the inside of the gun looks like. There's that piece again, the trigger. Alright, here's how the weapon is put back together. It's the same method, but some people have trouble with this, and one guy I've seen actually that part broke on his. So this is pretty easy. You could do this on the fly, on the field, and the button's back in place, and it is back together. So to me, this review, once I got into the front to back part, actually felt pretty quick. I'm pretty sure I covered just about everything. This gun is a lot more simple to review since the whole body is basically just plastic, and there's not a lot of serrations on it. It is overall a very comfortable gun to hold. It's bullpup, so actually without the suppressor, I was going around in my house, and it was extremely easy to maneuver in and out of hallways and doorways and stuff. The Jellius Beretta, sometimes I bang that onto walls and stuff. This gun I've been able to maneuver very easily. When I did shoot it, it was extremely accurate, and it did really well. I did put a scope on there, and I need to tune that scope a bit. Future upgrades I plan on doing is some kind of red dot or ACOG. I plan on getting that low battery warning. I plan on getting that FN2000 style sling. I'm good on mags, and I'm good on suppressor. I do want to paint this gun black, but I'll lose the FN trade, which is a disadvantage, but it'll be black like a Splinter Cells gun, which will be an advantage. This gun definitely has my seal of approval. This is one hell of a beast of a gun. It performs greatly. With the LiPo, it's shooting really fast. It doesn't really need upgrades. Maybe a new motor, since G&G motors aren't that great. The build quality is amazing. The plastic is super strong. This is a really solid gun, and this is a high-end AEG. So if you're in the middle class right now or the entry class, and you're looking into getting into the higher levels of AEGs, this is definitely one of the higher levels of AEGs. This gun was $235 to me, plus the extras, but it did have a problem, so it was a pretty low price tag, at least in my opinion. And these are around $400. They're in the $400 price range, and not to mention you need a battery, and well, yeah, just a battery. There's a crazy lady running the golf course. I'd say I'm just about done with this review, and there's lots of other videos on my channel. If I forgot to mention anything, I'll put annotations or subtitles, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, damn.